startup called Flock.
Okay.
FLOK. They positioned themselves as a TikTok for goats when they pitched, and I was just caught. I was like, "What is this TikTok for goats?" What does it even possibly do? Is it like images of goats that people just see? And it actually is that.
Or goats dance on
Or
there.
goats dance and goats do reels, and I don't know what they do. I actually use Instagram and LinkedIn a lot.
Got it.
So for me, a lot of these new alternate investments, if I can call them, all of these have come from Instagram. Some influencer talking about, there's this way to make like $5,000. Oh, there's this way to do this. Oh, did you know you could do that? One of my regrets probably that I can think of, which will relate to this, I didn't start investing when I was 15 years old.
Hello everyone. So this is Ashish Jindal and welcome to the Inquisitive Investor and podcast for the investors by the investors. Today we have Ashish Agarwal, Ashish with single A. He has been known to me from last 5 years. He has worked at Citibank, Google, Roposo, and now he started his own company in last 2 years. The company's name is App Baroda. And today we are going to discuss a lot about his investment strategies and how did he start, and hope we all can learn a lot from this session. So welcome Ashish.
Thanks, Ashish.
So thanks for joining us here and taking out time for all of us. Really keen to do this chat from you from the moment you invited me to your wedding. That too in Udaipur in Jag Mandir. Maybe before we start, maybe we can chat about that. How much did you actually spend on that?
Yeah, thanks for bringing up that awkward question, Ashish. I actually spent very little. I learned very early in life that if you have to make a lot of money, you do three things. Either you gamble well, either you invest well, or either you marry well. So
Okay.
I did the third.
Gamble, invest, or marry.
Correct.
Okay, got it. So let's talk about the investment part, because I think gambling is something that we don't promote.
Correct.
And let's go to the investment part.
Sure.
We did a pre-chat, right, and where you were talking about at different points of life you had a different portfolio, right?
Right.
And different portfolio means a different viewpoint on money and investment.
Correct.
So maybe we can start from the beginning where it all started.
Yeah.
But when did you start? When did you started earning, and
Right.
how did it go from there?
Yeah, sure. So I think it started in terms of, I would say, education at home. I think from a very young age, I always heard my parents talk about how they used to be happy, जब वो Saturday Sunday को अपने सोफे में coin ढूंढते थे, and they used to feel so happy कि यार coin मिल गया, or moments when they were able to eat out, which we take as granted nowadays, going to a pizzeria or whatever. उनके लिए it was a big moment, right? And for me, I think that always stuck since 5-6 years of age कि यार clearly money, which was limited understanding at that point, is an important aspect of life, right? And then the way my education happened, typical, I went to college, I did BCom honors, I went to MBA. Everyone around me was only talking about money, right? So I think because of that, I also got ingrained कि हाँ यार, मतलब earning a lot of money clearly is a important pillar in life, whether it's a success of buying things or whether it's a success metric of society. Right. So for me, that was sort of super clear in the beginning. I would say second phase is when, I started earning at the age of about 22, 23.
Is it
I
right
started
after the
earning.
college?
Right after B school.
Got it.
I started working in Citibank, my first job. I earned, a pretty decent salary. And for the first time, I felt, wow, I can buy things that पहले मुझे permission लेके पूछने का, ये खरीद सकता हूँ, वो खरीद सकता हूँ, यहाँ जा सकता हूँ, वहाँ जा सकता हूँ. And I started earning, and I realized financial freedom, as they say, क्या चीज़ होती है.
Got it. For me, it was basically very different. I was in Bombay. In Bombay, I think you were earning this much, spending rent was this much, so there was no scope of spending a lot. But I think you spend on different items.
Yeah.
Then when did this view change? That hey, from spending a lot to shifting in a different direction.
Yeah, I think if I had to pick a moment somewhere around my first job itself in 2011, when the first euphoria of spending was over, that high was over. After 2, 3, 4 months, you realize, okay, now I've spent and I've got whatever I wanted. XYZ
And were you
things.
staying with your parents?
I was staying with my parents, right?
Okay.
So I didn't have the rent problem that you had in Bombay.
Yeah.
So I think that gave me a lot of comfort. Ki you're staying with parents, half the costs are taken care of.
Got it.
For me, it came because I always wanted to make a lot of money. That was very clear to me. At the age of like 10, 11, 12, I was very clear that I have to make a lot of money. right? So when I was 23 and I started earning, then I was like, okay, now I have a way to turn money into more money, right? And that's what we were taught also, whether at home or at school, कि यार money से और पैसे बनते हैं, right? So now I was for the first time enabled कि I can make money with my own money. That's when I started thinking about how to make money, and I must say that my journey coincided with the digital boom in India. So 2011 was when a lot of startups were becoming hot. Zomato हो गया या आपका Flipkart हो गया, all of these
Amazon
guys.
started coming to
Amazon started
India.
coming to India. So I was very clear I was in banking at that time, which was the traditional way, if you look at the past decade, on how people made a lot of money,
Right.
investment banking or trading or whatever. I did not like banking at all. I hated banking,
Okay.
right? Because I thought it was very regulated.
Okay.
I found the finance sector very regulated. So I said, oh, this is a cool new sector. जहाँ पे there are no restrictions, it's democratized, and you can make a lot of money. And startups
What
in USA
sector?
are making a lot of money. The tech sector.
Okay. Tech
The
sector.
digital wave.
Got it.
So I decided I'm going to leave my job, fairly well-paying, settled job in Citibank, and I'm going to somehow get into tech, right? And that's what I thought was my key to making a lot of money.
Now, one part is your career progression is happening, you're learning, right?
Yeah.
Another is the part where you are earning monthly
Yeah.
and how your expenses and investments are happening. So can you give a quick view of that, how that has changed now at this
Yeah.
point of time?
Yeah, I think in mid 20s, I was earning very little and I was spending more than I was earning, right? So I didn't have a lot of investment capabilities. I was convinced that investing in myself at that time was the best decision, which meant joining a startup, right? How that's changed now is in 2017, I joined Google, right? And obviously Google gives you a massive, again, base, like how I think of it, in terms of comfort, ki yaar, you're in a MNC, which is growing really, really fast. In 2017, Google grew really, really fast. And that gives you a lot of access to a constant supply of income, right?
Got it.
And if you're doing well in an organization like that, that gave me the confidence that I can now again take a riskier bet. And I chose to do that by investing in multiple sources.
Got it.
So initially, as we spoke, when I left Citibank, I betted on myself and I joined a startup. This time I thought, let me take multiple bets. So I got into the space of alternative investments. In fact, I think I must have been one of the few first customers of Grip.
Yeah.
Grip was also growing at that time. I started doing a lot of angel investing in 2017-18.
Got it.
And I started also experimenting with like different assets like art. So there was a way to invest in fractional art that I never knew of.
Got
So I said, yeah, let me, there's one supply of income coming in. What can I do to again find disproportionate returns? And I didn't know, like for example, मुझे art के बारे में ये नहीं पता. But I figured that if a lot of people are doing it and it's growing, maybe there's something here. So I started doing different things to figure out. And then from 2017 to 2020, it became clearer to me that what I'm good at is actually angel investing. So
Got
then
it.
I doubled down on angel investing.
Got it. So what was there any format that you thought of, okay, this is how we'll start, I'll start with this traditional investment and then
Yeah.
go ahead about it? And how did you
Yeah.
think of this? Can you give some framework?
Yeah. Look, I think the framework that I had in my mind was I don't want to do the stuff that has been done, because from whatever I'd studied, everything gives a very 15%, 20% range of returns.
And this is what?
This is either blue chip stocks or
Okay.
your MFs, right? And that's a good amount of money.
Got it.
And I think because of the background I came from and the stability I already had, I was willing to take more risks. My
Got
question
it.
was, how do I earn 30% plus
Got it.
CAGR over the next 4-5 years, right?
Got it.
And there were very few answers.
Got
So I think that framework, rather than a framework, I would say there was a constraint. I put a constraint on myself कि यार 30% से ज़्यादा कैसे कमाना है? And very few options actually hit
Left.
that constraint, right? If you want to earn 10%, you'll have many options. If you want to hit 30%, you'll have very few options. The options that stood out for me were angel investing or, betting on stocks, specific stocks that I knew would do very well, right? So my framework became more about how do I study about things that will give me more than 30% return. And there were two things that I kind of, fixated on. One was, let me draw back to what I know. So by that time, I had 5-6 years of working in tech. So I knew that tech mein yaar, what are the patterns, what's going to be hot, and what's trending. So I said, let me find a way to invest in tech stocks even outside India.
Got it.
And that time I didn't even know it was possible. But then I found out that you can do about $250,000 of investments outside of India.
Okay.
So I somehow found a way कि यार मुझे in tech stocks में invest करना है.
Got it.
So I did that.
Got
Second thing was I had no idea how to do angel investment. मैंने सुना था कि बड़े-बड़े लोग angel invest करते हैं and they make a lot of money. But I had no idea how to do it.
Got it.
Then I found platforms like AngelList. There was Let's Venture.
Right.
But then I also discovered that not all of them are perfect. And maybe the best way to angel invest is to again put yourself out in the market.
Got
So
it.
I put myself out there. I changed my LinkedIn profile to say angel investor.
Got it.
I leveraged my presence in Google to
Got
again
it.
have people reach out to me, leverage my network. And then I said कि यार मुझे 2-3 पैटर्न निकल के आए हैं जो I'll share with you. One is that you only make disproportionate returns if you are investing in something you are a subject matter expertise in.
Got it.
So either people will give you money because you know more than me, so
Got
are a consultant or mentor or whatever, or you have an amazing network that gives you amazing advice.
Got it.
So I started leveraging both of those somewhere around 2017-19. After dabbling, after doing everything, my framework was सब कुछ try करो 30% वाला and then figure out करो किसमें double down करना है.
2017 to 19, and I'm sure that was also the time when maybe let's talk about cryptocurrency for a moment.
Sure.
Did you also tried and experimented with cryptocurrency at that moment?
I did a very funny thing in crypto.
Okay.
So when crypto was becoming hot in maybe 2016-17 also,
Yes,
like
yes.
buzz had started
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit. I bought all the crypto domains in India. So all the crypto.in, crypto. Or whatever,
Okay.
bitcoin.in or whatever I could find my hands on, I
Okay.
bought those.
Okay.
I realized that I don't understand crypto at all. Even
Right.
today, if someone asks me what is cryptocurrency, I understand blockchain, but I don't understand crypto, and I also don't believe in it
Got it.
because I don't understand it. Maybe.
Got it.
So I said, yeah, I'm not understanding it, but clearly there's hype. So let me invest by buying domains.
Okay.
Because I knew at some point those domains would be very valuable. So then I would be
Got
able
it.
to sell those domains.
Got
So
it.
that's how I invested in crypto. But otherwise, I didn't invest in
Got
crypto
it.
at all.
Did it accrue anything
Yeah, I did
good?
accrued good income.
Oh,
Because
nice.
people obviously wanted to buy domains where you have Bitcoin dot,
Got
whatever.
it. Got it.
SEO benefits.
Cool. Quickly coming back to the investment side
Yeah.
of things. So maybe can you give an overview of, and if possible with percentage or absolute
Sure.
numbers, what is your current portfolio like and what percentage is what as of today?
Yeah, I think so. I'll maybe give a range. So my portfolio in terms of tech stocks is more than $100,000. In terms of my angel investments, I think it is between the 100 and 500K range in terms of how much I've invested.
And
It's
what would
hard
be that
to
worth now?
Yeah, so I was just coming to that. It is hard to mark up private angel investments because most of the companies that I invested in are the pre-series A or seed stage. But if I had to take a guess, I think about 5 to 6x of what I invested, right? And there's one point here that I would like to call out is that I don't like the VC way of saying things that only 2 out of 10 startups will work. I think that's a very wrong way of saying things. I think most companies actually give you 5 or 6 companies or 10 companies give you good returns. So I think when VC say 2 out of 10, I think this was something I was also very in the belief of when I started investing कि हाँ यार 2 चल गई तो बहुत है. But actual में I realized that most startup founders want to give back a good return to their angel investors or their believers, and that typically is like a good 2 to 3x return. So 5 or 6 out of 10 companies do succeed, right? So that is now my belief. It's changed. When I started angel investing, I was like, I need one success, which will be like 40x. But now I believe that I need 6 or 7 to give me 5 or 6x, and that's also good enough. So I think that's around the range that I'm at.
So talking about your angel investments now,
Yeah.
okay, what do you think has been like most unique investments you made till date?
So I think my most unique investment in terms of concept was this startup called Flock,
Okay.
FLOK. It's called FlockX. They positioned themselves as a TikTok for goats
Okay.
when they pitched, and I was just caught. I was like, "What is this TikTok for goats? What does it even possibly do? Is it like images of goats that people just see?" And it actually is that.
Or goats dance on
Or goats dance and goats do reels and I don't know what they do. And I really was intrigued. And the pitch was made by the son of a farmer, right? And I was really wondering what is his story. So then one day we just got on a call and he was kind enough to share his story about how his father was a farmer and what he learned. And he himself was highly educated and I think tech graduate. And then he told me that the markets for B2B in goats in India is $15 billion. And I was blown. I was like, what are you saying? There's a $15 billion B2B goats market? And he said, yeah. I was like, what is it? He's like, 70% of it is butchers, right? And then it hit me. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, now it makes sense. Ki,
Yeah.
okay, obviously people eat meat and that's why the market is so big. And so the problem he's trying to solve is a typical like marketplace problem. There are buyers and sellers of goats, and there's a middleman. The middleman charges a high fees
Right.
and provides very little value. And the buyers and sellers have to commute a long distance to actually trade goats. So he is solving this problem by actually doing like really cool imaging and telling you, for example, that hey, there's 10 kgs of meats in this goat. So you
Got
can
it.
say yes or no without having to travel the distance, right?
Got it.
I found that concept like mind-blowingly interesting. What an industry size in India out of no one really heard of it.
Right.
I think Animal and all were hot at that time in terms of like people had heard
When
of.
was this time?
This was maybe 2 years back, I want to say, and in the pandemic for sure. And then this guy was looking for funding, and he's done really well since then. Touchwood. I'm really bullish on on his own sincerity towards the startup. And like I said, this is the amount of effort that is required if you're angel investing. Anyone's thinking of angel investing, it is not just putting 3 lakh rupee checks in 10 startups. I think you should talk to the founder 5 times, catch up every month. So Manju, who's the founder in this case, he sends a monthly update, and then we have a chat basis that. So it's a really nice experience beyond just making money. Honestly, like if you're interested in the space, this kind of tickles your brain like it does mine. I was really happy just to have an opportunity to engage with him, right?
Yeah.
Learn about new space. So that's my most interesting from a
Unique idea
from a
point of
genre
view.
point of view.
Yeah. Now talking about investments other than startup investments, right?
Yeah.
You said you tried art investment,
Right, yeah.
And what kind of other things you have tried, and
Yeah.
maybe a quick understanding. Okay, what were the learnings
Yeah.
or the mistakes that you
Yeah.
did from those investments?
Yeah, I think so. If I had to just think about the spectrum, maybe the most craziest ones I have invested in someone who's doing something in poker.
Okay.
Although I knew that the space was not entirely regularized, but in Goa, for example, the space is much more regularized and legal than
Right.
So something in Goa for poker, there's something in art which was only in the US. So you
Okay.
can actually trade art like a stock on the New York Stock Exchange if you
Right.
are a US citizen,
Right.
and you can also participate as an Indian citizen. Although if you have no understanding of art, that's also fine. I think I also invested in a restaurant. And then those have been my craziest dabblings, I would say. And then the rest have been stuff we already spoke about.
Really, really keen to know about all of them. Okay, let's
Okay.
start with the
Poker one.
in Goa.
Yeah. So the poker one, there is a famous IP globally that does tournaments. So they wanted to invest in India. They tried to figure out, India is a growing market. Obviously, Goa is the hotspot where poker is allowed. With the ships, with the
Yeah.
big ships are there.
Casinos,
people go.
yeah.
Those casinos. So how do we create poker rooms
Right.
where people can come, spend their hard-earned cash, and have a good time.
Right.
It's a very lucrative.
Yeah.
By the way, like poker is extremely lucrative, very high margins, and the money is not just made on the table; it's made with your F&B and everything around it, right? So this guy came up and said, I will run your poker rooms and I will create the tournaments. India doesn't really have very large IPs of tournaments. If I had to say, like an IPL of poker is not there really
Right,
in India, right? So
right.
this guy was trying to make an IPL of poker. I loved the concept. I mean, I like poker myself, so I was like, okay, I totally believe in your concept, and there's a very large audience of poker. So he set up rooms in a ship where he was basically owning everything, managing everything, and he was paying the ship a rent for leasing them out that space. And so he needed capital to basically start the whole setup because it was expensive to start up.
Got it.
And then he would get poker players from all over the country, and we would all participate in a way that he would give us returns once he got the returns back from the players.
Right. So basically, investment in a company that is trying to solve for
Tournament type, like a tournament
IPL for
yeah.
poker.
IPL
in
for
India.
poker, yeah.
Yeah. I think, I don't know. Just as I was also figuring out what all
Yeah.
means of investments are out
Yeah.
there. I think sneakers is something is really
Yeah.
talked about a lot
Correct.
these days, but still it's fairly new. I came across this two interesting things. One is investing in cards. I think
Yeah.
outside India, these cards of basketball
Correct.
players,
They're very
baseball
popular.
players, they are very popular. I think there are websites who are now enabling trade for these cards.
Even in India, you have Rario, which I think Dream11 has bought. They also do NFT collectibles.
Got it.
So it's not a space I've dabbled into, but
Yeah.
again, I don't understand it. I also don't understand the second-hand sneaker market, which is very hot, which you were referring
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
But nowadays there's so much investment opportunity.
Yeah.
It's crazy. One of the areas I've found, I don't know what you use to follow all these new ideas. I actually use Instagram and LinkedIn a lot.
Got it.
So for me, a lot of these new alternate investments, if I can call them, all of these have come from Instagram.
Got it.
Some influencer talking about, oh, there's this way to make like $5,000. Oh, there's this way to do this. Oh, did you know you could do that?
Mm-hmm.
I follow a lot of these influencers who talk about wealth creation
Got it.
away from the standard ways that everyone knows. No one's going to really hear an influencer talk about FD or like
Right.
MF, right?
Got it.
Because everyone kind of knows wo kaise
Got
karte
it.
hain.
And have you heard of this thing, the second thing that I was talking about, investing in Legos?
Oh no, I haven't heard about that.
Okay.
What is
so,
that?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I think from time to time,
Yeah.
whenever something big is happening, right? Let's say Star Wars is launching.
Sure.
They are launching certain number of packs of Star Wars,
Yeah,
right? That
yeah.
people can buy and build that Star Wars ship or something
Yeah,
like that.
correct.
And Transformers, then Marvel, right?
Yeah.
So I think now the company might not be launching new Star Wars
Right.
or that thing. The
Yeah.
same goes with how a card or that thing work, right? So now people who bought this earlier, right? Now they are selling
Oh,
it
cool.
on a higher price.
That is
and,
cool.
People who like that Star Wars thing or Legos, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's also something
Wow.
that's building up. My sources here is Wall Street Journal. Their
Okay.
YouTube channel is really nice.
Mm.
You can follow that, and our
Right.
listeners can also follow. But that's really cool. They cover all kind of things on that channel.
Yeah.
So basically, increasing curiosity around these investment opportunities, figuring out, okay, before that, figuring out what do you want to achieve. For example, for you, it was earning more than 30% on your investments. Then getting into how can you do that, follow these media channels or
Right.
Instagrammers or YouTubers, right? Where you are increasing your funnel,
Yeah.
not making decision based on just what they are saying, then doing the due diligence by yourself, figuring out what works, what does not
Correct.
work, what fits into your thesis or not, and really spending time to come to a conclusion of investing or not investing.
Correct.
Got it.
I agree. I would also just add one thing, Ashish, over time, and maybe this happens with over age also, right? Like I'm in my mid-30s, is that now everyone in my age group is doing this. Like a lot of my peers, my social circle, people at work are doing this. I also find that 20-30% of my time spent on conversations with them is not just about sports and what to eat. It is also about investments.
Okay.
Maybe we're also in that age or phase of life, right, where everyone's trying to multiply their money. So I also find that I am one person who is now contributing to a group of collective knowledge. So I think also, I read this quote yesterday somewhere, it was very interesting, that your average wealth is going to be defined by your social circle or your PIN code. And I think it was very true, because I'm realizing that people I meet, they are also influencing my investment decisions. And perhaps vice versa, right?
Right.
So a lot of us decided to bet long on Alphabet, for example, last year, just as a collective group.
Got it.
And it was a collective group decision. It wasn't like we went to fundamentals and balance sheet. We just collectively felt that enough of us had said yes to, invest in Alphabet. So I would just add to the research part is that at some point your friends will also start influencing your investment decisions.
Existential question, okay?
Okay.
So if everything is taken away from you
Yeah.
today,
Yeah.
right? How would you start from scratch?
Yeah. I think that's a good question. One of my regrets probably that I can think of, which will relate to this, I didn't start investing when I was 15 years old. Right? I'm 35 now.
That's kind of Warren Buffett kind of philosophy, but yeah.
I don't know, but he and I think the same maybe. but jokes apart, I didn't invest when I was 15, or I didn't even start thinking about it, although I should have. I had access to enough resources and all. And I'm not just saying this because, that if I had invested 50,000 rupees, then it would have been 7 lakh rupees now. No, that's not the reason. It's because I think this entire learning curve that we've spoken about, right? My own learning curve has happened in a very crunch time of like 5 to 7 years. And I think that if I had like 20 years, I probably would have already, multiplied my wealth and my learnings and my portfolio to a larger extent, right? So that's one. And I think to your question, if it happens today, if everything's taken away, which it could happen, I think I would start doing it from day one, because this is the only way to make a lot of money. That I'm very sure of, right? Like we spoke about in the beginning, there are 3 ways to make a lot of money. To make a lot of money, you need to have assets. वो तो पक्का है. That is, clear. I don't think I knew the value of compounding when I was 15. So if everything's taken away, now that I know the value of compounding, I would start from day one on how to compound.
So yeah, Ashish. So we are coming to like end of the segment, and we have prepared a rapid fire question round
like
for
coffee
you.
Coffee with Ashish.
Yeah, coffee with Ashish or coffee with Inquisitive Investor, right?
Sure.
So very simple. Please speak freely, whatever comes to your mind.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with very basic questions. Okay. Best stock trading app,
Stock Al.
financial advisor or DIY model,
DIY.
short term bets or long term bets,
Mix of both. Has to mix of both.
high risk, high return or low risk, low return.
For me, high risk, high return for sure. Because if I'm spending time, I need high risk, high return.
Got it. Favorite financial influencer?
No one in particular. I think actually a lot of people who speak on motivation and self-help, whatever they say, I actually learn a lot from them and apply to finance investments. I'll give you an example because this might not seem very this thing. But like the 1% rule or Atomic Habits, these are famous books that preach the same thing, that you have to keep being consistent. It's not like you will get return and
Right.
this thing. But the 1% rule has taught me the compounding power, which is true of all investments.
Got it.
But a lot of it is actually coming from self-help, mental
Got it.
mindset. So
Got
for
it.
me, that is influenced a lot of my investment thinking.
So applying concepts of any influencer that you find good
Absolutely.
and applying them in
Absolutely.
investment. Oh, really nice. Stocks or derivatives?
Stocks.
Fixed deposits or alternative investments?
Right now, alternative investments.
Got it. And
In-
any particular reason?
In this phase of my life, mid-30s, I fall in this DINK category. It's a term I learned recently. Double income, no kids.
Double income,
No kids. DINK.
Okay.
When you're DINK, you have more risk appetite power, right? You have less responsibilities, less dependencies. So you will edge more towards riskier options and higher return options. So alternative investments gives you that option right now. Also, it's a space that's becoming hot.
Got
So at this phase of life, DINK category, alternative investments.
Technical analysis or fundamental analysis?
Both is very important. I think fundamental analysis is more important when you're looking at startups kind of investment because there's no technical there. But when you're looking at more mature investments, then technical is outweighs fundamental.
Got it. Physical real estate or gold?
Oh, always real estate.
Have you invested in real estate? How
I
has
have
been
not
your
personally
experience?
invested. My family has. But through that journey, I've seen one thing, and also I think a lot of people talk about it. Gold has only one option of liquidation. Real estate has multiple lines of business that you can actually leverage from it. So even if you don't buy land that appreciates, it doesn't mean that you will not make money of it in other ways. So you could open your own restaurant on top of it, for example.
Interesting. Active investing or passive investing?
Active investing.
Buying a house or renting a house?
Renting a house forever. If I can somehow convince my wife through this talk to to rent a house forever, it makes so much sense because especially in Delhi, the rental is about 1.5% of the entire purchase value of the house.
Yeah.
1.5% versus EMI of 8-9%.
Got it.
Simple maths for me.
Indian stocks or US stocks?
US tech stocks.
Individual stocks or index funds?
Individual stocks.
Got it. Thank you. That was our rapid fire round.
Thank you. Did I win a hamper?
Yeah, you will. So recently we came up with a tagline at Grip and we call it Go Beyond.
Yeah.
Okay, so go beyond inflation, go beyond volatility.
Yeah.
And wanted to know what's your go beyond mantra in investment?
I think investing in self, that has been my go beyond mantra investment. It used to be something which I used to think and say, but now it's like ingrained, right? I would say over time through bad and good experiences. But if you keep investing in yourself, right, and your clarity, whether it is that I can earn income or my investments will finally pay off, there is no more gratifying moment or more uplifting moment that allows me to create that flywheel. So my go beyond moment is just keep investing in self, keep researching, keep studying, keep betting. Short term mein loss ho sakta hai, but that is my go beyond moment and go beyond mantra for sure.
Got it. And that's it from our side, Ashish. Thanks for making time for us and for our listeners here. And have a great day.
No, thank you so much. Thanks to Grip and thanks to you, Ashish.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Thank you. And with that, we have come to the end of our show. Thank you, Ashish, for sharing your story and your investment lessons. Hope it was great for others. It was very much enjoyable for me. We hope that you guys also enjoyed the conversation. Please feel free to ask us any questions in the comment box. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to our channel to catch more episodes of The Inquisitive Investors. Until then, get a grip on your money and go beyond.